Hey guys, this is Coach Bill with Fat Loss Made Easy. Hope you guys are having a great scorching Tuesday. I think when we just got back from the gym, Emily and I think it was 12 o'clock when we got to the house, and it was already over 100. So probably around 2 or 3. We're gonna probably hit 108 here in the Temecula Valley area. So guys, today's topic is how do you stop the food cravings when when you're trying to lose weight or when you're doing intermittent fasting. Um, that's a question we get a lot, and obviously, if you notice that I'm drinking my coffee, it's black coffee. It's actually one of the ways that we actually curb our cravings for any kind of food. And this is our 23-hour, our normal 23-hour fasting day. Tuesdays and Thursdays we do 23s, and Saturdays we do 20s. Now, those of you that follow me know that Emily and I have been doing this protocol for a long time. We've been doing the high good dietary fat, low carb meal plan and intermittent fasting and extended fasting for a few years now, which means, and we're very, very consistent with it, especially at the beginning. See, if you're consistent with the meal plan and you're consistent with the protocol when it comes to intermittent fasting, and we found that alternate day fasting is the simplest and easiest program to follow to keep to keep yourself accountable. Uh, if you're consistent, your body is going to go into an environment known as fat adaptation. Now, there's different levels of fat adaptation. When you're at the very beginning, you're obviously at the level where you're just starting out. 3, 4, 5, 6 months, most people are just in a level where they're just starting to become consistently fat adapted. But Emily and I have been doing this for a long time now, and so we're what I call rooted in fat adaptation, and we're also ketone adapted, which means that when we check our ketone levels and we check our glucose levels are normally between, on a non-fasting day, we're probably between 72 to 78. On a fasting day, we'll be all the way down to 68 for myself. Sometimes Emily will hit 58, 59, which is doctors, when they hear that, they panic, but they don't understand the physiology of the body when it comes to ketones and how the body survives off of ketones when you put yourself in what they call a starvation mode, but we're not in the starvation mode. And so, because we are so efficient that the blood ketone meters, our ketones are always very low. We could be from zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.8, depending on the day, and which is telling. I mean, that's in the fasting day. That's when we're fasting for 23 hours. So we haven't had any calories for 23 hours. So our body is actually using whatever fat we have stored up, or glucose that we have stored up in our body, is being used as energy. But our body is so efficient on running on fats, that's why we don't have those carb cravings anymore. Both of us, we don't have those sweet cravings. I mean, I could be out to dinner with friends and they can order dessert and I just don't want any. I mean, I would feel, after I ate it, I most likely won't feel good, but that's not why I'm doing it. Why I don't order it is because I just don't feel like having it. I mean, now if I do feel like it, I will. And yes, I probably won't feel good. But because we're so fat adapted and so ketone adapted, that's one way that we don't have the cravings and the cravings for sweets or carbs. Our body is utilizing fat so efficiently. So that's where you want to get to. That's basically what you want to get to. But the thing is, that takes time and consistency. So the issue out there when people go on these meal plans or diet plans is obviously the cravings that they get, and they don't understand that those cravings are caused by certain hormones that you need to get control of. And the best way to get control of it is, you guys are going to kind of freak out about this, but one of the best ways to get control of those hormones is by doing intermittent fasting. You're thinking to yourself, well, fasting is, I'm just going to have more cravings. Well, not actually, because if you combine it with a high good dietary fat and low carb meal plan, combining it with intermittent fasting and start off easy, actually you're going to curb your cravings. Science is even saying this. The problem is, guys, most of you, I'm going to rant a little bit. I'm really getting tired of people saying that they tried a ketogenic diet and it didn't work. No, they didn't try it. They think they tried it, but they did it wrong. Because guys, a ketogenic diet is not about starving the body. That's not what it's about. A ketogenic diet is about starving your carbohydrates, but not about starving the diet. Because you got to understand, guys, there's a good dietary fat has a whole lot more calories in it than carbs or protein does. So if you've increased your fats by 60%, you're eating 30 to 35% protein, then you're not starving your body. If you calculate it out by using one of the carb or one of the I think it's called Carb Managers apps, and you find you find what your body needs to sustain energy throughout the day. I don't mean subtract the $500 to lose, or 500 calories to lose weight. I'm talking about just sustain the body, and you stay on that and introduce intermittent fasting. You're going to most likely lose weight. The thing is that most people don't do the ketogenic diet right, and they don't do a true ketogenic diet because it's not, like I said, it's not about starving the body, and it's all because if you are taking in the amount of fats you're supposed to each meal, and if you're taking in the amount of protein you're supposed to each meal, then you aren't going to be as hungry throughout the day. That's how it works. You might have to, you're probably going to have to find and play around with your meal plan, or go to like 65% fat and maybe 25% protein, and find the protocol that works best for you. See, that's why Emily and we don't have cravings during, that's another reason why we don't have cravings during our long fasting days, is because the night before we had plenty of fat and we had plenty of protein and very little carbs to sustain us through the whole night, and to be able to balance those hormones out that are causing you to have cravings. We don't get those cravings. Like I said, the object is to get your body very fat adapted. You want your body to utilize the fat in your own fat cells as food, so that your body will not have those cravings. Now, when you're first starting out, when we start out with our online personal coaching clients and they purchase one of my courses, obviously we have little tricks to have, so that when they first start out, you're probably going to have some food cravings. But how do we knock those out? Well, like today is my 23-hour fasting day. When I first woke up this morning, I had a big glass of water with 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and I had some sea salt, which is my electrolytes. That's how you curb cravings, is by bringing in electrolytes. During your fasting days, that's really important because you're not consuming any calories, so you need to drink plenty of water, 64 to 120 ounces, but you also need to bring in your electrolytes because your kidneys are going to flush out a lot of fluid. And if your electrolytes are imbalanced, which most people's are anyway, but even on the fasting days, if they're imbalanced, it's going to cause that hormones, or a couple of them, that causes appetite and cravings. As soon as you have a big glass of water, apple cider vinegar, and some sea salt or some electrolytes that are plain, not flavored, that goes away. That's how you stop the cravings. So you may think, well, I'm hungry, but really most of you aren't, because most of you are dehydrated anyway to a certain point. But what you want to try first is go ahead and have a big glass of water and have some apple cider vinegar in that water and some sea salt, a quarter teaspoon per quart, or big glass for me is 20 ounces. I put 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and I have a quarter teaspoon of sea salt I do with it. And on my fasting days, I'll do this three times. Plus, my water intake is about 120 ounces a day anyway. So I'm always feeling full. So I really, I break my fast at 23 hours. I break it with a protein shake, my bone broth protein and veggie protein shake. And I do put some MCT oil in it, and I'll put some coconut cream in it. But that's to break my fast with. Then an hour to an hour and a half later, I have my main fat meal, and I make sure that I'm bringing in plenty of fat on that only meal that I'm having that day as my last meal at 6 o'clock. Now, I may have 2 tablespoons of olive oil to up my fat, and I'll have maybe a tablespoon of real butter on my vegetables if I'm having vegetables. Like tonight, I'm going to actually indulge. I'm going to have a sweet potato with probably 1 to 2 tablespoons of real butter in it. I'm going to have around 8 ounces of chicken, but I'm going to add most likely 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm going to just take the tablespoons and I'm going to drink it down before I eat, just to add more fat. Now, for me, it's much easier for me to take a tablespoon of MCT oil, add it to my meal, or a tablespoon of olive oil to add it to my meal and bump up my fat during that meal. But I'm bringing in enough protein, enough fat at that meal to sustain me all night long, plus get me to my next meal the following morning, which tomorrow is the non-fasting day, so I can eat whenever I want. I'm not on I usually don't have my first meal until after I exercise, and that's around 10 or 11, and that's going to be, I really like, I have a fat protein meal that I really like. It's a complete protein drink, but it's got all kinds of nutrients in it, and as high fat, and it's a meal. It's about 900 calories, so I'm bringing in about 67 grams of protein just in that one protein drink, and I'm bringing in I'm bringing in a bunch of fat, and that really sustains me throughout the day. Although I do snack, I do have a fat coffee with some collagen in it during the day on my non-fasting days, so I do that, and that's my dessert usually at night after a meal, as I do a fat coffee with collagen, so that's another 10 grams of protein. And so that's how Emily and I were able to be so successful and consistent when we're doing intermittent fasting, and especially when we're doing the extended fastings like we do today, is we are already very fat adapted, and we are ketone adapted, and our body is so efficiently using fat that I can't even remember the last time I had a craving for carbs or sweets. Like I said, now I'm going to have a sweet potato. Now, is it because I'm craving for it? No. But every once in a while, we do need to add some kind of root vegetable with fiber in it like that. Just to add the extra little fiber that we need during the day. So guys, that's how you can stop the cravings when you're trying to lose weight, is by drinking enough water. Add apple cider vinegar to your water and some sea salt, and that will sustain you until you're ready to eat after your fasting. But also, it will get you to the other levels and get you to a point where you're not going to. I mean, I still do it today. Obviously, it's just my way of staying healthy, because apple cider vinegar has a lot of great health benefits to it, especially for us old guys. But The electrolyte part of it, I really keep up on that. Matter of fact, I'm looking at some new electrolytes for my clients, and actually I posted in my Facebook group page, Fat Loss Made Easy, I posted in the downloads what we recommend for you to have as electrolytes while you're training. And then, of course, while you're fasting, they also have a plain, unflavored electrolyte, which you can put in your water when you're carrying it around if you're driving around and stuff. But when you're fasting, it has to be plain. Don't use the flavored one, because even though people are saying 10 calories won't knock you out of fasting, that's not true. 80 calories will basically knock you out of fasting. But coffee has 1 calorie, but that doesn't seem, and I've tested it with my own glucose blood meters, and that my ketones when I tested it was very high. Like I said, I'm very efficient now with ketones, so my I don't show that high anymore, which I don't care. So anyway, guys, I hope you saw some value in this, and if you have any questions on, or if you're having issues with cravings, just remember that the root cause of those most likely are your hormones are out of balance. You're not drinking enough water. You're not consuming enough electrolytes during your fasting times, or even during your non-fasting days. You're not consuming enough electrolytes. And you're not consuming enough magnesium. Magnesium plays a big part when it comes to doing a dietary, high-fat, low-carb meals and intermittent fasting, because you've got to stay regular. And also, both of these protocols are going to help your gut. That's what, I mean, your digestive system, when it's working the way it's supposed to, then the foods you do eat, even if you only have one meal that day, if you're digesting the food right, and it's turned into what they call chyme, which all the food is liquefied, and when it gets into the small intestines, that small intestine is going to be able to utilize all the nutrients in that one meal, and that's how you're going to keep yourself from being hungry 2 or 3 hours later. Okay, guys? So, guys, I will see you guys at the next video. You guys have a great rest of the hot day. Bye.